Good morning, and welcome back to the Wirraway versus Heclapar play-by-mail campaign. I'm sorry for the delay in getting these videos out. I'm traveling the world at the moment in Australia. And I'm also using a different mic setup, so I apologize for any audio issues. So you may have just noticed this on the February 24th turn, the Dutch scuttled that submarine that was hiding out in one of the dock bases, and we're landing at Samarinda in a supporting invasion for our Balkapan invasion. Some activity around Suva. He's slowly reinforcing Suva. I currently have no intention of stretching my forces that far into the SOPAC area of operations. End up with some damaged submarines down at Suva. Nothing looks dangerous. Nell's bombing his troops, trying to disrupt them before we end up attacking. Much black. It's getting low in supply. So far, pretty quiet turn. Very quiet turn. Row 61. It's hit pretty hard. 65. Obviously, even the small submarines operating in shallow waters, even against early LAVSW, is risky. I doubt they'll sink though. The battle for Changsha is about to begin. I left that earlier thought incomplete. His flak at bandoing seems light, so I'm wondering if he's getting low on supplies. Some Dutch remnants still holding on. His typical bombardment attacks. Okay. Two more Glen submarines have arrived. Glen equipped submarines. We check in. Cap losses sedation. Top CSL ABAB Sinel. So we'll take Samarinda tomorrow. Last of the regiments of, I think that's the 18th Division. Here, 20th. So finishing in the coming week, assembling two more divisions, and we'll also reassemble the 56th Division with its missing regiment. We're going to mass our available divisions. We should get to about 5 divisions at Cabanatuan, and then make a decision based on his force disposition whether to go after Manila first or Clark. Clark is ×3 terrain, Manila is ×2. We've been emphasizing Manila and will continue to do so. But because this is a stacking limits game, the stacking limit at Manila is 160,000, while at Clark it's only 40,000. And he has, according to intel, about 60,000 troops at Clark, which means he's burning quite a bit of extra supply. But because we're fully prepped for Clark, we might see if we can catch him napping and go after Clark first and leave the rest of his troops isolated in Manila away from Bataan. It probably won't work though, because he has the advantage of interior lines. He can shift back and forth between Manila and Clark um, pretty easily. But we've got about a week, maybe two, to decide which way to go here. I'm going to begin moving the carriers into SOPAC. I don't want to do so until Balikpapan and Samarinda are taken, and ideally Tarakan also, because he still has float planes, a few. Most of his bombers here are combat ineffective, but we need to be able to suppress Bandoing and have taken Samarinda and Balikpapan, and ideally Tarakan, um, to be able to slip our carriers through here unseen. That's the key. Meanwhile, continuing to mop up dock bases where he could potentially stash recon assets, float planes, an AVP, whatever, and float planes, or even fly them in from Darwin to keep an eye on our redeployment. He hasn't shown a tendency to do this, but it's certainly a possibility. We'll bomb these exposed units to death and then occupy with a Thai element of a Thai division and 3 AA units to flip this base and see if we can capture that oil intact. Meanwhile, we're continuing our attacks to encircle Calcutta, and Calcutta will be our main effort. Probably be able to Calcutta, you have to shock attack across all these rivers. Um, but he doesn't have a lot of troops, a lot of combat power in that ×4 terrain, so 3 divisions should be enough. That'll allow the veteran 5th Division to attack, begin the preparatory moves on Hyderabad, which would be advanced through this open terrain and then into the wooded terrain to take Wrangell. And then from there, we'll eventually make the move on Hyderabad. Meanwhile, we have a little over a month of the amphibious bonus, and I'd like to take Ceylon, but I don't want to get distracted by Ceylon. I can't keep Ceylon. He doesn't. I'll get victory points there for a while I could hold it, but because of his defense, so the Sir Robin defense, I'm not going to achieve auto victories. No way, or it seems very unlikely. So the only advantage of taking Ceylon is to destroy any ships that are building at Colombo. In China, he's successfully delayed me for more than a month in this mountainous terrain. That's typical. We're just going to keep on grinding. He's that and a main attack at Changsha should those continued fights should burn his remaining supply in China, and his units will then begin to drop in combat effectiveness. Meanwhile, we're ready to attack just north of Wuchao as soon as these 2 divisions arrive. See if we can defeat this isolated corps, and then move on Luchao at the end of, well, middle of this. Technically, it's the middle of this rail line, but it's really the end of this rail line, if I recall. No, the rail line does go to Huon, but grab Luqiao as we continue to draw always available reserves into Changsha. So that's the plan in China. Two main attacks. Armor still pushing in the north. The mass of infantry in Changsha, and then a supporting attack towards Luqiao. Key to that really is just to grab Luqiao while his reserves are in and around Changsha, and it does reduce one option for him to redeploy forces along that useful rail line. Talked about the Philippines. We'll mass divisions at Capanato on and decide whether to go after Clark first or Manila. And we're beginning redeployments in anticipation that he will make a move in SOPAC and or Central Pacific. In the Aleutians, we've just about wrapped up our offensive operations here, other than to grab the islands chaining here around Attu. Shima is a island size 2, which means it acts like an atoll instead of triggering a shock attack when landing. It has a good size potential for an airfield. So we're going to build up Shima as a transportation hub and also potentially build up Ulak level 2 so we can put diatomics there. That is swamp terrain. You can see, so it's ×3 terrain. It's a good place to defend, and we'll continue to ship supplies into the chain to increase our ability to sustain a defense. He has some minesweepers as pickets. Continue to grind away at Banduin. He's maybe getting low on supply. And then, as I described around Borneo, we'll take Samarinda and then go after Tarakan. Tarakan has some sturdy coastal artillery guns. So, yeah, there will be some losses. Transports primarily. Okay. Well, I'll try to get another video out as soon as I process this one. So make up for lost time, and appreciate you joining me for the discussion.